What's up, you guys? It's your boy Miguel here to give you your daily dose of radiation. In today's video, we are covering why I prefer to work with like veteran nurses slash X-ray techs. So to give you context, I'm a night shift X-ray tech. Been working for over 4 years now at a Trauma 3 ER in the great state of Texas. Now, when I mean veteran, I mean anyone who's been in the game, been pushing the button, or been working in the healthcare or wherever you're at for more than at least, I would say, probably 5 years and above. You have a pretty decent understanding, especially if you've been at the hospital, wherever you work at, all those times, you understand the game. For the most part, nothing really has changed. It's the same thing. You're just literally on repeat trying to save people, and especially working in the emergency room, you deal with, there's a bit of touch of just like randomness that gets sprinkled, but for the most part, it's kind of the same thing. It makes a huge difference working with someone who's very experienced, because the pacing and the work efficiency and any troubleshooting that could happen with your shitty equipment, everyone has shitty equipment, can be resolved pretty easily. There's been times where you work with brand new techs fresh out of school, not a problem, they're still learning the game, but a simple workload of, let's say, overnight, right? We have 50 morning ports. Those 50 morning ports, if it was me and like another tech who's been in the game for a while, we can probably knock those out in about, I'd say, like an hour and a half. If you have someone who doesn't know the game and they're new to how we run stuff just simply at night, that could be a 3 hour, like just easily 3 hours at the worst case. Like it makes a huge difference based on like the pacing and basing off of like how you coordinate yourself and how certain floors, the patients are intubated, they won't talk, and it's just a simple, they may hear you, so you just a little introduction like, hey, I'm here to do your X-ray, and then, I mean, most of the people that are on propofol or intubated or whatever, and depending who's running the machine and who's pushing stuff out of the way, there's times where if you're with a new person that doesn't know, they'll be in the way of where the machine can fit, because the rooms are literally tiny, and depending how the beds and whoever's in there or whatever they have can get in your way, and sometimes it can be kind of a headache. So that alone can kind of like makes the difference. And also lifting patients and knowing what certain stuff will show up, because there's been times where I place the board, and when I'm placing, I already know, I can like look and tell, okay, this is gonna show up, we'll go under this one. Other times another tech will go, and sometimes they'll have to place it due to limited space, and they'll place the board, and sometimes they don't know, and it's just extra repeats just because they weren't paying attention or they just didn't know. So every exam you shoot an extra one. I mean, there's nothing wrong, it's like an extra 30 seconds or however long it takes, but like if we're doing like 50 or 60, it just slowly adds up. And you know, with all that, with time, eventually they'll learn and you become more efficient. Like my coworker, it took them probably, say, like 2 to 3 months before they got pretty well established and kind of knew the pacing. Because like before that, I was working with my supervisor for like a good 2 years straight, and we were just knocking them out. Like there was a few places where we would go to do morning ports, and we would knock out, we could probably, if we speed run those 50 X-rays, maybe we could have done it in 45 minutes, maybe 30, and that's with no nurses being in the room, no family members having to get out, just one shot, just going pop, 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 and knocking out all the chest X-rays. And I mean, yeah, we'd probably be out of breath running around, but we got the job done, and we can go back. Because there's only 2 techs at night, and essentially anytime you leave the emergency room and you go to the floor, you don't know what happens downstairs. So it's always try to shoot everything you can and then come back down to the emergency room and just be chilling and waiting. Same thing with with the nurses. It's the same thing. Like you get new nurses, and especially at night where we run the game a little bit different versus the daytime crew, where some nurses, because I would say every 2 to 3 months you get a brand new batch of nurses. I've always see it. You get like new batches who don't know yet the game, how we run stuff. And like at our hospital, if they order something and they really need it, they have to call us. If not, it will be done with the regular morning port list. Obviously, certain floors have higher priority, like if they're in the ICU or surgical ICU or whatever, it's a little bit different. But all the other floors, it will literally get them on the morning port run just due to limiting staffing. And sometimes you will go up there and the patient's asleep and you're like, yeah, this could have waited. So with like a new nurse, they'll call and they'll be upset, and then you just gotta explain to them. And sometimes they won't believe you until they start talking to other nurses. Because like one time we almost got cussed out by this nurse, and then she realized that we were right on the protocol, and then she apologized. So there's that aspect. Or them wanting to, like, we try to explain to some, we always got to explain to, even with the nurses, like they order stuff, like if it's a placement for the tube, they have to order it stat, and they have to order it like this so it gets read by the radiologist. If not, then it won't get read, because there's a window between day shift and night shift where if they order certain exams, day shift won't change it to stat and they'll leave it routine, and it won't get read by the radiologist because we use online radiologists. So that causes problems, because when we show up and let's say some of the new nurses during that time, because the nursing staff shows up a little bit early, their shift changes before ours, so there's a little gap of day shift and night shift, the nursing crew. So that causes problem, because like they'll call like at 9 p.m. and be like, why isn't my exam from 7 o'clock read? And I'm like, I'll start digging into it, and I'll explain to them, oh, well, you didn't order a stat. Even if I change it, it probably still won't get read unless you got to do some stuff. So like you'll have to call the radiologist, and it's a little bit of more work for us, and it'll just take longer for their exams to get read. But same thing with like in the emergency room, the new nurses who see us be waiting for, like, some of them don't know that a chest x-ray takes like maybe 30 seconds in and out. Some of the nurses won't let us squeeze in. Other nurses that are cool, veterans, they're like, yo, just go do your thing so you don't have to bother us no more. And it's like literally 30 seconds, just beep. Because there's times where we'll do rounds multiple times in the emergency room. Like an exam will get ordered and we'll go. We'll start off, we'll go, no. Come back another 5 minutes, no. Come back another 15 minutes, no. Come back. Sometimes the order will sit there for an hour and a half, and us just constantly checking on it when we do the little rounds around the emergency room to shoot the other stuff. And that's fine if the patient's cool and we ain't getting chewed out, but sometimes the doctor will be like, yo, why isn't my x-ray order like shot yet? Like, I'm waiting for a report. It's been an hour and a half, and like we try to explain to them, like, yo, your nurses won't get out the way. And depending who the nurse is and who the doctor is, sometimes they'll get them out the way. They'll move them, and they'll explain to them, like, yo, my x-ray is higher priority than whatever other stuff. So sometimes that has to happen before they understand and they learn. It all kind of depends on the patient, depending on what's going on with them. Sometimes, like, you won't even get in trouble for it. It's like, just shoot it whenever you can type of, because like certain patients will get admitted and they're going to be here, forever, like for like whatever amount of time. So it's like we can catch that, even if they order a chest x-ray, if they get admitted and get sent to the floor, we can get it on the floor during the morning ports or whatever, and it'll be fine. But certain patients that are just here for a simple like cough or something, that they'll get treated and can be out of the emergency room in less than an hour, Well, that's a little bit different. See what else. Even also with like reading the report and stuff, certain nurses that don't know will go to the X-ray and they'll see that maybe it has a report, maybe it doesn't, right? On the system they use, sometimes the report doesn't get generated right away. Sometimes they have to dig deeper. And because sometimes the radiologist report, whatever they got going on, is like super long. And sometimes they don't scroll all the way. There's been times where the nurses tell me that they don't know where the tube is. Like the radiologist didn't write on the report, and then I'll go and I'll scroll and start digging and it'll say right there, and I'll call back and I'll tell them. So like, and then there's other nurses for like NG tubes. That's something that happens with a lot of new nurses. They'll place the tube, which essentially NG tube is a little tube that goes right here and it goes down to their stomach. And essentially it suctions or pulls out whatever stuff they got in there, right? And essentially the veteran nurses, if they're pretty good at their job, they'll place it, they'll listen, you shoot a KUB or a chest depending on what the exam is, and you look at it, and as long as it goes down, like the little loop down here in the stomach, for the most part, we're good. Obviously, you still got to wait on the report to if they tell you to advance it or pull it back or whatever, but as long as it goes down and it's not in the lungs and it's not coiled up in the throat, we good. There's certain nurses, and we notice it when it's the new ones, that they'll place the tube and then we'll shoot it and then we'll look at it and then look at them and they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, it's in their lungs. And they're like, what? And then we have to explain to them. Or other times they'll get cold in the throat and they'll try over and over and over and over. The most I've done was 5 different rounds of KUBs on patients, and it's always been cold in their throat. Or there's certain floors that are not as good at putting in G tubes, I've noticed too. So that's something you deal with. And like in the emergency room, all the veteran nurses they'll get there most of the time within their first try. They'll get it. Sometimes you have difficult patients. Maybe their like throat is like more tight or like inflamed or whatever, and they can't get the tube down, and they have to go with the OG tube or whatever other tube, and it'll be a little bit different. But for the most part, working with people who are experienced makes the job a lot easier and efficient, and it changes everything. I'll let you know that. But as always, it's been your boy Miguel. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm about to go push the button at night. Don't know what doctor's here, so we'll see. Today's like an open night mystery. But notorious on the weekends, it's always pretty chill for the most part. You just have maybe the morning rush for the Monday, a lot of MVCs that happen, so we'll see on that. But as always, if you enjoy today's video, you can check out my channel. I post different videos in the beautiful world of radiology. And there's memes if you click the link below or check out my shorts. And yeah, I'm gonna go push the button. We'll see you in the next one.